So the one thing my mom looks forward to every single day is her daily walks alone around the neighborhood. And I literally called her the other day to tell her that she cannot do that anymore. Since the beginning of COVID-19, Asians have experienced a 1900% increase in Asian hate crimes.
And that number is just the ones that have been documented and written down. So it doesn't even include the ones that weren't written down and weren't reported, or the ones that were misrecorded as non-anti-Asian hate incidences.
So growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood with very few Asians in my city, I've been called chink, gook, chungli, go back to China. And guess what I did? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
My mother and her Asian American friends have been spat on, coughed at, and also experienced many anti-Asian slurs. And we might not think that calling COVID-19 the quote Chinese virus or the Kung flu or the Wu flu are bad or even connected to this violence, but it absolutely is, because that emboldens that racism. It emboldens those anti-Asian hate sentiments.
We're just taught to stay quiet and turn the other cheek, just mind your own business. We have all been trapped in this model minority stereotype. You guys all have heard, oh, Asians are smart, they're good at math, they're educated, they go to college. They painted us as the model immigrant that everyone should actually be like. And this created a wedge between Asian Americans and other people of color since we were painted as privileged. Listen, it's not getting any better. Asian Americans are being attacked, specifically our elders. It's our duty as Americans to speak up about what is happening right now and what needs to be heard.
When we say racism against Asians is normalized, it kind of brings you to ask the question, compared to who? We're comparing it to Black people's experiences, which have been made hyper-visible and end up in us playing the oppression Olympics. In the same way, saying Asian Lives Matter might seem harmless at first, but it's actually co-opting the Black Lives Matter movement, a movement working to combat police brutality against Black people. It doesn't make sense to try to move the attention from a movement that isn't relevant and try to use it for our own benefit. Please realize that being anti-Black when spreading awareness about the anti-Asian violence happening recently is not only unproductive, but also harmful. Asian liberation is so inextricably linked to Black liberation, and we should be working to uplift each other. It's important to stand up for our community and to prevent this from continuing. But being anti-Black or anti-BLM, calling for increased police surveillance is not the answer. The police aren't going to fix this. Like, an Asian 19-year-old was shot and killed by police on December 30th while he was having a mental health crisis and had his hands up. Police brutality is an issue that affects the Asian community as well. The violence against Asians occurring is a symptom of white supremacy and should be another reason for solidarity. I want to make it clear that awareness should not be the end goal of your activism. It's a way to rally people to support your cause and incite action, but it's not going to solve the issue. Protests, for example, are a tool used to put pressure on a government or other higher-ups to respond to the demands of a movement. There needs to be actual demands and measures to address the problems of a system. Do you want to pass a law? Do you want reform? As an example, we can see how BLM has been working since 2013, some of their demands being to defund the police or to end qualified immunity, to fire and charge the police that have murdered members of the Black community. This isn't to compare BLM to advocating against anti-Asian hate crimes, but we can't just blindly support any and all activism against racism towards Asians because we're angry. Without tangible goals, we won't see real change because reactionary activism will only result in short-lived anger and burnout. I agree we need unity and to push for change, but I think we should do it in a way that's productive.
If you'd like to help out or support the AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islanders community, the first thing and most impactful thing that you can do is stop calling COVID-19 the Chinese virus, the Wu flu, or the Kung flu. Call it COVID-19 or coronavirus. You should also be calling out your friends when they say that. If you have friends that are saying Chinese virus, tell them not to say it. Explain why. The next thing is that you should be following Asian American creators and educators on your social media platforms. My favorites are Amanda Nguyen, Teach and Transform, and Michelle Kim Kim, among others. You can also follow me at Pink Mentre. I also post about these kinds of things. Lastly, support Asian American organizations such as the Smithsonian APA, Asian Pacific Americans Association.
Look, speaking up is incredibly uncomfortable, but I am going to encourage you, no matter how big or small your platform is, you have a voice, especially if you're Asian, especially if you're Asian American. We all have our own story and we cannot be silent. Let's break the model minority stereotype and let's stop Asian hate.